Hello, everybody. Welcome to Freestyle Talkz. My name is Carlos Osvaldo. I'm your host from Maputo, Mozambique. Today, we are on March 5th of 2021. It's my wife's birthday, so happy birthday to my wife. We are here in Maputo, in Mozambique, 6 p.m. We'll be speaking with our guest who is in the UK, where it's 4 p.m. there. So, first of all, welcome if you are new in the channel, and we have these guests and conversations to inspire you, to bring you inspirational stories, inspirational guests, people who have journeys, experiences worth sharing, and who I believe can really help us seeing the best in life. In these times, we are now celebrating, in a way, 1 year since COVID really hit in Africa, in Europe, and in the United States. It was in March of 2020, and our lives really changed suddenly and drastically. And we are now in a different stage after 1 year, where the vaccines are coming in many countries, already existing and being applied to citizens. So I felt it was the right time to talk about this, talk about 1 year living with a coronavirus, 1 year since our lives changed, 1 year in the new normal, as we call it, and to talk about the vaccines, and they are coming to Mozambique as we speak. So let's talk about it and make some sense of our world and our lives, and keeping in mind that we have a lot of things to live for and to dream and to fight and to pursue. So my guest of this afternoon, she's an evolutionary virologist who works in Oxford as a researcher, and she's from Poland. And the one thing I really felt very interesting and particular about her is that she's so many more things. So she's also a food blogger, and she's a model, and she's a fencing instructor. And she's a very active person who likes nature, who likes animals, who likes to live and enjoy life. So I felt it would be a very appropriate guest to join us to talk about this virus is changing our world. But more importantly, how can we live and be happy and still have things to pursue and be happy and build our future? So let me call Emilia to join us. Hello. Emilia.
Hi,
welcome to Freestyle Talkz.
Nice to see you all from a bit dark and gloomy Oxford, but that's UK for you.
That's UK weather, yeah. So thank you very much for accepting our invitation, and you are very welcome to Freestyle Talkz family. So I really wanted first to, maybe for people who don't know who Emilia Skirmuntt is, let's give them a brief introduction. Who are you, lady?
Right, I'm an evolutionary virologist at Oxford University. I'm originally from Poland, but I moved to the UK 11 years ago. I also studied biomedical sciences. I have masters in biomedical sciences. I also have masters in forensic medical sciences. And I worked in industry for quite a few years in a lab testing chemicals and testing drugs. And right now I'm finishing my PhD at Oxford University, and this PhD is concentrating on bats and viruses, so quite topical.
Yeah, it's really a good timing to be writing and learning about that. So tell me more about, you've been studying and working in this field, in this area of virology. Why did you choose that specific area to study and to pursue a career?
So that was quite a long journey for me because I've done my bachelor's degree in Poland, and I was doing it in genetics, in animal genetics, on fennec foxes. So that's the small species. It's not really a fox. It's a small species of carnivore, but so I was doing it on that on genetics. But then when I moved to the UK. I've done my master's in biomedical sciences, but I was doing it on tropical diseases in bats. And then I realized that viruses are so fascinating, and also we don't know that much about viruses. Virology is a very small field. There are many more microbiologists who study bacteria, and that's the field which is like full of scientists and full of research, while virology is quite a small field and viruses we don't know that much about. So that was quite interesting to just see this field which is underexplored really. But then for some reason I decided to do the second master's in something completely different. But these showed me that I really like viruses, and I'm really fascinated by this field. So I was trying to get my PhD in virology, and I managed to get the place at Oxford, which well is very nice. And I hope that in the future I will also be able to work a little bit more in this field when I finish my PhD.
Viruses have been living among us for a very long time, right?
Yes, but it's hard to say if you can say they've been living, because obviously scientists are arguing that they are not really alive, that they're just these biological constructs, entities, and not really something which is alive. So viruses have been with us probably since the beginning of life on Earth. There are some theories, hypotheses, that viruses even have been the first construct entity which appeared on Earth, and from those cells evolved and life evolved. Obviously, we probably will never know how it was because viruses don't leave fossils, and it's hard to say really what was the first virus or cell, but that's one of hypotheses, and yeah, they've been here since the beginning.
And they need an external body to live, right? And to not live, but to exist.
Yeah.
To exist, yeah.
That's why.
And they can. No, yes, I was going to ask you. They can live in human beings' bodies. They can live in animal bodies, and also in plants, right? Anywhere else?
They can use any cell, any living cell, because that's why many scientists say that they are not alive, because they cannot do anything without other living, the other organism living cell. So they use our cells or animal cells or plant cells, all bacteria, to replicate, to use this cell machinery, our cell machinery, to produce new viruses, like next viruses. So they can use any living cell to do that. So as I'm saying, that's plants. That's also, even there are some viruses which use other viruses, obviously not to replicate because they don't have these machineries, but they still are parasites of other viruses. So it's very interesting.
I can see. Fascinating. And now, all viruses are bad, or do we have positive or good virus?
Well, that's a difficult question because obviously viruses are parasites, like these ultimate parasites, because they cannot do anything without other living cell. So in that sense, we can say, yeah, they are bad, but we also need to look at that from the perspective, because they can be bad, for example, for bacteria, but the virus which attacks bacteria, these bacteria can be bad for us. So if virus attacks bacteria, it will kill bacteria, which can kill us, which means that the virus in like in the big picture is good. And in our bodies, obviously, we probably all had, or most of us had, about microbiome. So in our bodies, we have a lot of different bacteria, obviously, and there's also the same, but with viruses. We have also viruses in our bodies all the time. Some of them obviously are pathogenic, but they're on such a low level that they don't cause disease and our immune system can deal with that. But some of them are viruses of bacteria, and they help us to maintain these pathogenic bacteria levels on low levels so we don't get sick. So that's we need to look at it from different angles.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's not as simple as we think. And this word of the coronavirus started to be a part of our daily communication and daily lives in the beginning of last year. But we had coronaviruses before that, right?
Yes, coronaviruses are normal known viruses of animals and also humans, and we had 4 coronaviruses in human population, which cause just normal common colds, and also we knew about 2 others which give a bit more severe symptoms, not a bit but a lot more severe symptoms, which is SARS-1 and MERS. SARS-1 appeared in China and MERS in the Middle East. SARS-1 got extinct, although we don't know why. MERS is still causing like small localized epidemics in the Middle East. And right now we obviously got SARS-CoV-2, which is another one which can cause more severe disease. And what is interesting, the major reservoir of the major source of coronaviruses, these coronaviruses similar to SARS-1, MERS, and SARS-2, are bats. So that's something which not many people know about.
Yes, and why is this one the SARS-CoV-2, right? Why is this one more famous or more popular, more spoken about than the previous one?
Because it caused global pandemic. The previous ones didn't cause pandemic on such a large scale. The SARS-1, for example, caused quite few. There were quite few places where there was more people getting infected, getting sick, but it was never on such a big scale as SARS-CoV-2. The problem with SARS-CoV-2 is also that it has some features which helped it spread so quickly. For example, the thing that from infection to the onset of the symptoms, it can be even 10 to 2 weeks. That means that this person can just walk around with the virus and infect other people and they don't know about it. Obviously, there are also asymptomatic infections and all that stuff. With SARS-1, onset of symptoms after infection was only after 1 to 2 days. So we could pick that up much quicker and isolate the sources of infection. With SARS-CoV-2, we cannot do that, or it is much more much harder to do. And but another thing is that SARS-1 was also more pathogenic, so it caused much more severe disease in many more people, which also, I know that might sound surprising, but the disease like that can be controlled in much easier, because obviously a virus also, if somebody is very sick, they cannot spread the virus that easily. They won't be walking around and talking to people. And also with deadly viruses, if virus kills the host, the host cannot spread the virus anymore, which, well, obviously is sad, but diseases like that are easier to control.
And you were saying about the common origin from the bats as the previous version of the coronavirus. How did it pass from bats to human beings? Do you think, or does the science has an answer already if it went direct transmission from bats to humans, or if it went to a different animal species, maybe?
Yeah, that's again difficult question, because we don't know, and probably we will never know, because such a long time passed since the pandemic started, and we still didn't found the real source. So that was probably direct contact. Like we can try to guess looking at SARS and MERS. It was probably either direct contact with bats, and as we know, Chinese wet markets are quite big epicenter of different pathogens, because there is a lot of wild animals there and animal products, which might not be very well controlled. So it might have been direct contact with wild animal or wild animal products, meat or something like that. Or with SARS-1 and MERS, we know that there is intermediate host, and this intermediate host in case of SARS was a civet cat, which is a carnivore, and in case of MERS, it was a camel. So these two animals were infected by a bat. Then these animals infected human. And in case of SARS-2, there is a big chance that there was intermediate host as well. But right at the moment, we don't know what the intermediate host is.
And we'll probably never know, as you said.
Probably.
So it's a mystery.
Especially that even with Ebola virus, we still don't know what was the cause, what was the initial source. It might have been a monkey, it might have been a bat, but we still don't know.
So we know, because all the information has been teaching us, and a lot of awareness about the ways of transmission and prevention. So we all started to. I have a fly around my studio today, so I have the things to kill it. So
But it's not
I'm looking on my fly. No, it's not a bat, so I'm still safe on that side. No, but we hear a lot about the wearing masks to cover our nose and our mouth. I have a question. I never got a complete answer. It's a two-part question. So one of them is, are our eyes a source of infection as well, or just nose and mouth?
So our eyes, we can get infected by getting droplets with viral particles into our eyes. That can happen. But we wear masks not to infect other people. So obviously by sneezing or coughing or even speaking, these tiny droplets can be generated and can infect other persons. So that's why we wear masks, not to protect ourselves, but protect other people. Obviously, with eyes, we cannot infect other people. We can get infected through eyes, but we cannot infect other people because they don't generate droplets unless we are crying. But that's a bit different.
So that's why the eye shield is to cover, face shield, right? Is to cover the eye zone, eye area, and all our face. But is there a common agreement now if we should use masks and the face shield, or just masks, or both?
I mean, to protect other people, obviously masks. But if somebody is really like medics wear obviously also shields, and they cover their eyes with goggles or shields. So if you are in a danger of infection, for example, on COVID ward or something like that in a hospital, then yes, that's recommended. But I don't think that wearing that, for example, on the street or in like normal situation, I think that masks are enough. If we keep safe distance from other people, obviously.
And there's also especially here, I'm talking about in Mozambique, the information we have. We also hear a lot about the types of masks who are more effective or not. If we have to use the chirurgical masks, or those simple gray blue masks are enough, or if it is a cloth mask. So is there a different type of efficiency from one mask to the other, or all of them work more or less?
Like, there is different efficiency, and obviously it depends. Some of them might not stop all the viral particles or just part of them. So in general, the agreement is that surgical masks or special masks like N95, for example, masks are the best. And you need to, with surgical masks, you need to change them quite often. When it goes to cloth masks, they will also help because they will stop some particles, but their effectiveness is a bit lower. But I think that covering your face with anything will give you like at least some level of protection over not covering your face at all. Obviously, there are better and worse ways. I would say surgical masks are probably one of the best ones if you don't have money for N95 ones or the ones with the special filters. And also, it's easier to breathe in them. For example, I wear only surgical masks because I cannot breathe in cloth masks, and I found them very, very comfortable in that sense.
Cool. I also hear a lot of and there is a lot of questions and doubts and facts and fiction myths around coronavirus, as you might know. And one of them, which is very specific and popular in Africa, is that dark skin is more resistant to coronavirus. Is that true?
I haven't seen any research like that, to be honest. I might have missed it, but I don't see why that would be the case. I'm not sure if do you mean that people with dark skin have better immune response, or do you mean that like what exactly is there?
Yes, so there is a rumor here. Sorry, let me put you back. I put myself on, so it's my fly disturbing me. Sorry for that. But no, I was telling you because when it started in March last year, a lot of people here in Africa were saying, so our skin is immune to coronavirus because it does not affect our kind of bodies or our genetics. There's something in our body that makes us immune or resistance to the virus.
I don't think that's true. I haven't seen any research like that, and I think that will be a big news everywhere. So I don't think that's true. What might be different when it goes to Africa and the other parts of the world is that you have a lot of sun exposure in Africa, like in most of the places. So and coronavirus is can get killed, deactivated, not killed because it's not alive, can get deactivated very easily with sun exposure, and it happens very quickly. So that might be what makes like in tropical and also sub-Saharan and also like all these places which has large exposure to sun makes this pandemic a bit less less bad than, for example, in places like US or at least parts of the US or, for example, UK. So that might be it, but I haven't seen anything about the dark skin.
Yeah, it's probably fiction. So people, it's same thing. So don't go on that story of we are immune. Uh, we have a question I want to put on the screen. So Kenny just sent us a question. And thank you, Kenny, for tuning in. So Kenny is asking if how to deal if our partner is infected by COVID. How do we take care of him or her while keeping ourselves safe?
Well, that's obviously difficult. There is a very quite a lot of data showing that people who live with people who get infected will also get infected. It might not happen, but obviously we need to treat them a little bit like they are infectious, and we need to uh, probably not spending a lot of time in the same room. Try to also get the fresh air in the room. If you are providing them with food and drinks, try obviously also to wash everything afterwards, because these viral particles will stay on cutlery. Obviously, it's if they don't have very severe symptoms, with severe symptoms, they should go to the hospital. But if they have mild symptoms, you can just treat it as normal respiratory infection. So just try to give them paracetamol or and go through it and observe if they won't get severe symptoms. The problem with COVID is that after the symptoms finish, the people can develop quite bad uh, infection of their lungs, and then they are going to the hospital with lung infection. So that's another thing which we should be aware of. Also, yeah, so you cannot do much. You can just really try to provide them with everything they need when they are sick, like with the flu. But I need to stress that obviously coronavirus, SARS-CoV-2, and COVID-19 has nothing to do with the flu. That's a totally different virus. Just the symptoms might be quite similar. So that's everything I can really I can really provide here.
Yeah, it's being careful as much as we can. And I have a follow-up question to Kenny's question, which is, we also have a lot of questions if people who had been infected can be reinfected again, or isn't it possible? Is that a final answer by now?
There is no final answer, unfortunately. Some of the people can get reinfected, and that was found out, but that's really a minority at the moment. Obviously, with new variants, with changes in the viral code, and these new variants which appearing, there might be a case when the variant will be more prone to reinfections than the previous variants. But at the moment, we think that that might be the case, for example, with Brazilian variant. But at the moment, looking at the research and studies which were done, I think that the reinfections can happen only in like 10% of people who got COVID, because they don't all develop such strong immune response. But with vaccinations, that should also go away, because vaccinations generate very high immune response, and that should protect us. But obviously, right now, that might change. At the moment, we don't know that much about this topic. I'm just saying what we understand about it right now.
So talking about vaccination and vaccines, our government here in Mozambique this afternoon, they gave a press conference highlighting the national plan to vaccination in Mozambique. So vaccines arrived in the country in the last couple of weeks, if I'm not wrong. So they are now making a plan to start vaccinating the population. I've seen that you've been vaccinated already. So I've seen a picture of you on Instagram in the vaccination day. There is also a concern here about the efficacy of these vaccines, and we have different companies putting out vaccines. As a person who's been vaccinated, and we also hear a lot about the symptoms, and you can develop these or feel ill after the vaccine. As someone who's already done it, what can you tell us or share from that experience?
Yeah, so we know that at least the vaccines which are approved right now in most of the world, so I'm talking about Moderna, Pfizer, AstraZeneca. These are three main ones. I'm not, but also the ones, I'm not sure which one are approved in Mozambique, but there is also obviously.
I'm not sure either.
Yeah, so there is also.
I think it's coming from China. Ours,
Okay.
I think, is coming from China.
Yeah, so there are also ones in China. That's true. In China, they have two different vaccines, but they use the same technology. But when it goes to coronavirus vaccine, they were found to cause some side effects. They are not dangerous. They are just normal side effects, like you have after, I don't know, like flu vaccination or some other vaccinations. I know that many adult people just don't remember how vaccination works, because obviously we are getting vaccinated as children most of the time, and if you don't need any follow-up vaccinations because, for example, you work in a lab, you don't get vaccinated, and then you are forgetting that there might be some side effects, and these side effects are nothing scary. In my case, I was vaccinated with Pfizer vaccine. It was just like sore muscle, like almost like after exercising. So there was nothing else there, and it went away after 1 or maybe 2 days. I think 1 day was it. That was it. But I know my colleagues from the lab who also got vaccinated had a bit different symptoms. For example, they got a fever, they got tired, they got headache. And that was also found out as one of the side effects of these vaccination. But that doesn't mean that you are sick, you are getting sick, or you are getting COVID. That means just that your immune system that you have a response from your immune system to the vaccination, and that's a good.
It's a reaction.
Yeah, it's just reaction of your immune system which recognize not pathogen but antigen, so this part of vaccine which should give the response. And obviously, if you don't get any of these, it's also fine. It just means that your immune system works a bit like quieter, if we can say that. But it's totally fine. And we know that all these vaccines can cause these side effects, but they're not dangerous. They are not infections. They are just normal response of your body to the to the vaccination.
Yes, and the science has an explanation why some people are immune to the coronavirus and other people are not.
You mean just we don't really have like you mean if some people get infected and other don't because we are not.
Yeah, because I heard about some people who are immune. I don't know if that's right or not from a scientific point of view, but in the normal world, we say that some people are immune to the virus. Is that
Like
scientifically proven or not?
no, I wouldn't say that anybody is immune to the coronavirus right now. Everybody can get infected, but we need to remember that being present, like uh, getting into contact with pathogen doesn't mean we get infected. And because, for example, there will be not enough pathogen to infect our cells, or our immune system will be so quick. Because, again, our immune system will recognize coronavirus, will recognize that that's the virus, but we just don't have such high protection against this virus because it's a new virus, as for example with flu, which or with some cold, which our immune system already seen and remembers in a way. But with coronavirus, it's a bit more complicated because that's a new virus. Our immune system never seen it. Although we have some like basic level of protection, which can protect us against the new pathogen, which we never encountered. But this level of protection is also quite low. And if we will get into contact with a lot of pathogen, or the pathogen will be able to evade this response of our immune system, then we will get infected. And at the moment, that's the case in most that's the most of the cases. But again, there is some chance that we won't get infected, and like we will get infected, but we won't develop the disease. So it's not some special power of some people. It just chance that that might happen, that you will be lucky and you won't develop the disease because your immune system just acted very quickly. But uh, there was some research done. People were looking if there is like cross immunity between SARS-CoV-2 and other coronaviruses, like cold viruses. So if our antibodies, which we developed in response to common cold we had, for example, a few months back, will react to SARS-CoV-2. And unfortunately, there was some response from these antibodies, but nothing which would make the coronavirus inactive. Obviously, again, that might change. Maybe we'll find something that is cross-reactive, some antibodies which are cross-reactive and can protect us against SARS-CoV-2, even if we didn't have the disease before. But at the moment, our understanding is that there is nothing like that. But well, as I said, the research is still ongoing. That's the situation which is developing very quickly, and there are changes almost every day. It's hard to track.
Yes, so that's your life. Always updating and always staying alert and looking for new information. Uh, and lately, one of the new informations we have recently is the variations, appearance of new variations or mutations of the coronavirus. I heard about the UK variation, one from Brazil, South Africa, which is our neighbor in Mozambique. Are these variations, first of all, are they normal in the development evolution of a virus? And second, are they more dangerous than the original one? What can we expect? More variations to appear?
So it is totally normal. That's how viruses work, and in fact, it's quite surprising that they appeared only right now, and we're observing more of these right now, and we haven't seen that many before. So it's totally normal. Viruses evolve all the time, and these changes we observe are also natural. And we, when it goes to these variants of concern, which we have right now, we have 3, but other ones also appearing in different parts of the world. So we have 3 main ones. UK one, as you said, one from Brazil and one from South Africa. UK one seems to be more transmissible, so it can spread more easily than the previous variants. And there is some early stage work which says that there is higher chance of hospitalization in the case of this variant, but it is very early stage, so that might be everything from statistical error to anything. So I would wait with saying for sure if that is the case. It is more transmissible, that we know for sure. When it goes to South African and Brazilian variant, these have a bit different sets of mutations. And one of these mutations was told that it might help the virus to evade our immune response. So the virus can hide more easily from our antibodies. But again, that doesn't mean that our immune response does not work or that our immune response after vaccination does not work. It just means that the virus can hide from some of the antibodies, but probably not all of them. Again, that's quite preliminary work, but that's the case at the moment. If the new variants will appear, the first thing is, yes, they will, but right now we are observing that the virus seem to mutate in a specific way because the same mutations appear in the totally like unrelated variants in different parts of the world. So that's the thing which is positive in a way because we can predict what the mutations will happen and we can act. But also there is a point where the virus, like there is some point when the mutations, there's too many mutations and the virus is no longer effective, if I can say that. So it cannot really evolve indefinitely because it won't have the same features, characteristics. It will not be able to, for example, infect the cells anymore if it will change too much. So there is a point, obviously, but then we might have another virus. So we will see more variants, but it's totally natural. That's the main point, I think.
Mm-hmm. And the vaccine is as efficient in the initial variation as in these ones who are appearing, right?
So that's so vaccine still will generate a high level of antibodies, like not vaccine really, but our immune system in response to the vaccine, and that should be effective. It's less effective against South African variant in case of Pfizer, I think, and Moderna vaccines, also AstraZeneca vaccine. When it goes to South African variant, the work was done which shown that our antibodies after vaccination are not as effective in neutralizing this virus as with other variants, but antibodies are not everything. We have other immune cells, and we know that the main immune response, which we should look at when it goes to coronaviruses, are not antibodies, but T and B cells. And unfortunately, these two immune cells are much harder to test for than antibodies. So we were testing for antibodies because that's just easy and very quick, and also will tell us something that we are protected. But the main immune response which we have against coronaviruses are those other immune cells.
Mm-hmm. So I also wanted to look beyond the virus. So I'd like to take the last minutes of our conversation to talk about how can we carry on being optimistic and being happy and being informed while being informed. What can you tell us about hope, the future? What can history teach us from previous diseases like this one?
So I know that many people are very upset, and also media are not helping with that because they love horror stories and they just will share everything, which is scary because people just will click on that or want to read that. But we need to remember that every pandemic has an end. And I know that right now it looks like this one will be was is going on forever and will be with us forever. That's not true. Even before uh, we had vaccines, even before we had antibiotics in case of bacteria, there were pandemics, and every single of them finished at some point. And this one will finish as well. And this time we have vaccines. Hopefully, we will have some treatments as well soon because we don't have any really effective right now. So this one will finish. The case is on the only problem is that we don't know if it will be sooner or later. And if we want it to be sooner, we need to still keep distance, wear masks. Also, we need to get a lot of people vaccinated very quickly to stop the transmission of the virus, and that's the most important thing, to just stop the transmission, because with every infected person there is a chance that the new variant will appear, because that's how it works. Every single new infection is a chance for a virus to evolve and have new sets of mutations. Some of these mutations might be dangerous, some might make the virus more dangerous, or might make it more efficient in evading immunity, even more than South African variant or Brazilian variant. So we need to just remember that we need to vaccinate as many people as possible, and hopefully this virus will go away much sooner.
Mhm. And apart from being an evolutionary virologist, you have other occupations and other passions. I would like also to talk to you a little bit about that, if you don't mind. Uh, One of them I find very interesting, and it's not very common in Africa. It's fencing. Uh, when did you started that area? And I have a surprise to you. Let me put it on the screen. So this is you.
Yeah, that's me. That's me.
So you are a fencing instructor. So tell me more about this side of your life and how long have you been doing it, and how is it now with the pandemic situation?
So that my love with swords is much longer than my love to viruses. So I started that. Oh my God! Right now it will be almost 20 years ago. So I started fencing almost 20 years ago, and that's I was doing it for a while. So right now I 3 years ago or 2 years ago. Oh my God! Really, with the virus, it's hard to keep track of time passing. But 3 years ago, I opened a club in Oxford where I'm the main instructor. And yeah, at the moment, obviously, we cannot do anything because there is lockdown here. And for some time in the last year, on weekends, we were meeting in small groups in the park to just fence. But that was a bit hard sometimes with the weather. Obviously, we are living in UK, so it's raining a lot. But yeah, so we were doing that. But after the lockdown happened in December, we couldn't do much. Hopefully, right now the lockdown will be lifted next month, and we will be able to come back to training. But I'm afraid I didn't do much since the lockdown happened. So that will be painful for everybody, for me as an instructor and for my students as well.
I can imagine. But as you know, the crises are always a great timing for reinvention and always hide an opportunities. So maybe a good way to keep that side of you and your passion alive is maybe to do it on internet and start teaching online, and it would be nice, it would be a new strategy to
No,
to still practice, be alive. Yeah.
that's my friends who are instructors doing that. The problem is that I'm a virologist and I have a lot to do right now. So there is not
Your
much
time,
time
yeah.
even to do anything else apart from like trying to keep up with coronavirus.
And you also love food. You are a
Oh,
food
yeah.
blogger, and you take beautiful pictures of delicious dishes.
Thank you.
Tell me a bit more about that side of your passion.
So yeah, I love food, and I and
Me
different kinds of.
too.
That's good. That's good. That's healthy. Yeah, I like cooking as well. And to be honest, I cook almost every day because I hate ready meals and stuff like that. And I really don't like I like takeaways, but I don't like fast foods. I hate them. I haven't been to McDonald's or anything like that for I don't know how many years, but I don't know. You would need to drag me there because I wouldn't go myself. I hate that. So yeah, I'm cooking every day, and I'm cooking almost different stuff every day because I just like to try new stuff. I haven't. I was. I didn't do much of food blogging recently. I didn't because again I don't have time, and to make nice pictures and to present it in a nice way, you also need to have time. So right now I'm just cooking. Hopefully, when the pandemic's over, I will be able to use my skills again. But this time with pictures and also with more descriptions, because obviously you can take pictures, but it's also nice to share the recipes you use or you made. So yeah, hopefully soon I can come back to that as well.
I hope so, because yeah, those pictures are really fascinating, and they seem delicious. So we are missing that. But another thing is that I saw you like traveling, uh, and and I wanted to ask you, when we are free to travel as we want and to wherever we choose to go, what's your first destination on one of your 2 or 3 first trips?
So yeah, I love traveling, and from I think that the first I wanted to go before the pandemic, and also I was hoping that this situation will be over this year, but obviously it didn't happen. So I was going to travel to Malta. I've been to Malta before, and Malta is like quite small island on Mediterranean Sea, and it's very beautiful. It's like fairy tale city, and yeah, so I've been there for a weekend a few years back for at the fencing event, but I wanted to go just to see and just to travel around this beautiful island. And also there is one more place which is my favorite place on earth, and that's Florence in Italy. And I also was really, really looking forward to travel to Florence last year, but it didn't happen because obviously coronavirus. And also Italy is amazing because they have very good food and wine and good weather. So that's also something which I was looking forward. But I when it goes to like a bit like further traveling, I also really always wanted to visit Africa and African countries which I haven't seen before. I only seen North Africa. I've seen I've seen only Morocco, and I traveled quite a lot through Morocco and Egypt, but I didn't see much Egypt. But I always wanted to see like Southern African countries and also like Central African countries. I have quite a few friends also living uh, in South Africa, and they were showing me beautiful pictures. Also, one of my supervisors from my first master's degree, so biomedical sciences, he is a big fan of Kenya. So he also travels there a lot. So I always wanted to see all these places. Obviously, there is a lot of places. Africa is a big continent, so there is a lot of things to see and a lot.
And now, please include Mozambique on your list if you come to South
course.
Africa. It would be really nice. Yeah, it's really nearby. It's a neighbor country, so feel free to pop in and give us a shout, as you have a new friends on Freestyle Talkz now. Okay, Emilia, thank you very much. I don't want to steal a lot of your time because we all need you to keep fighting and keep learning more about this virus, and your work is very valuable and very important, especially in the days we are living. And I really appreciate you taking 1 hour to be with us and to clarify some information and sharing your personality and your story. And you are a very interesting person.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to talk to you, and I'm really happy for the invitation. It was great.
Thank you, Emilia, and stay safe.
Thank you. You too. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye-bye. So that was our conversation with Emilia Skirmuntt, a virologist. So we'll be doing from next week a special month here in Freestyle Talkz. We celebrate on Monday the International Women's Day. So we'll be doing and we celebrate in Mozambique, Mozambican Women's Day on April the 7th. So we prepared a special month of lives, of conversations that will cover a different range of topics. And we want to have 6 events, 6 lives in 1 month, all dedicated to women, and with all female guests as well. So I will be moderating the conversation as usual, but I will be with more guests, maybe 3 guests at a time, 2 or 3 guests for each talk. And we want to talk about the lives of women in the 21st century, women in Africa, women in other parts of the world, and we want to really find a different approach to exploring the issues, the most important manners, the most permanent issues that still affect women's lives in the 21st century. So we hope you will stay tuned. We are very excited to share this journey with you. We'll be launching the first poster of the talk on Monday soon, so it will be during the weekend. So stay tuned and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Share the information we've learned from Emilia on your social media with your friends, because I believe we can learn from her knowledge and experience, and sharing information is caring for people. So this is what we do. We'll be back on Monday from 7 p.m. Mozambique time, but we'll be sharing, of course, the poster and information very briefly. So thank you very much, and we see you soon as always. Thank you.